Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Cincinnati Princeton High School, the new home of five-star offensive lineman, Ohio State commitment, Paris Johnson. I am Jeremy Birmingham, the host of Birminology on Lettermen Row. We are at Princeton, as mentioned, for the media day for the Vikings. Your first one here at Princeton after 3 years at Cincinnati St. Xavier High School. How difficult has this the transition been for you?
Oh, the transition, it wasn't too difficult for me. I guess I wasn't necessarily worried about leaving the team because I knew what I had to do. Cause I wanted to early enroll, get to Ohio State early, so I got over that pretty quickly. I guess the thing was the work I put in for the academics to say I graduated from St. X was the thing I sort of held on to a little bit. But once I got past that, I was like, it is what it is. The goal is to get to Ohio State early. Because at the end of the day, I do my thing in Ohio State. God blessed me opportunity to get to NFL. I do my thing. I plan on doing. Then nobody's gonna really care, whether you went to this high school or this high school. So,
but those guys that you worked with for the last 3 years to get to this point, that has to be a difficult decision to say, I love you guys, but my path is now different.
Right.
Is there any blowback? Was there any challenge from guys on your team? Anybody who it was harder to leave, or what was the reaction, I guess, when you made this decision? Because this would happen, and this was not a decision that was made just overnight. I mean, speaking to your mother, as you said, this has been something that had been discussed almost since your sophomore year,
right? About
what it was going to take to get to college early, and not necessarily just at Ohio State, because you didn't know at that time that's where you were headed. But
right.
How hard was that?
I guess the hard thing was, the interesting thing about it was the people who I expected to understand the decision, because in my opinion, it's a business decision. I want to get there 6 months early. People I expected to understand that, they did not. And the people I never really talked to before, who never engaged me or whatever, they're on a team or whatever, or maybe they weren't on a team, they're just a student, those people who came out of nowhere and were like, I think that's a great thing. You're doing it for yourself because you have a plan, you're going to a different place from most people, so it makes sense. Mm-hmm. But most people who I thought would understand it, people who I thought were my friends, it sort of showed who really understood and who didn't, who was really looking out for themselves, as far as, they just saw me as a football player, mm-hmm. like me, like walking from a team, and they sort of took that personal, when it's not a personal decision.
So ironically, your business decision, which would probably impact somebody else's business.
Yeah,
it becomes their business decision as well. So, yes. I guess you can see that they would be difficult for them. But this is a high school you're very familiar with. Your mother went to school here. You have a lot of family that went through Princeton. Does it mean something special for you to put on the Vikings uniform? Despite the fact that maybe it's not what you thought would end up happening. How special is that for you to have this opportunity?
Well, I thought that at first I thought I was going to end up at this high school, between here and Moeller High School at first, because I was a ball boy for this high school. So when I was little, so at first I thought I would, be here. But it was a special thing when I was at St. X and we even played on this field against Hinsdale. It was special for my, my family, because since they all went here. But honestly, I think me being here, it's probably more special for my mom than it's for me, because she went here for all 4 years. For me, I'm thinking I'm only here for a semester. I remind myself a lot of times, I'm here for a semester. I'm here to prepare. I'm here to graduate early, prepare myself for Ohio State. And while I'm here to win games. That's my focus. My mom, my family, graduating from Princeton, I'm doing all this. My thing, it could have been here, it could have been a place in Texas. Mm-hmm. My thing is, I'm here for 6 months so I can get to Ohio State early. So
3 times now you've said the goal is to get to Ohio State early. For those who have been not paying attention to recruiting over the summer because you go on vacations or have family lives or whatever, Paris sort of, never officially shut down the recruitment again, but he's going to Ohio State. All the other visits that he took through the spring, we talked about it on an earlier episode of Birminology where you explained why you were doing that. How did those trips, Georgia, LSU, Bama, all these other places you went, how did those trips and each subsequent trip that because you'd come back from all those trips, and I don't think, again, I like to talk around myself. You'd go on those trips and then come back home and almost immediately go back and visit Ohio State again.
Right.
How did those trips once again point out to you or underscore why Ohio State was the choice? Because that's what you did a year ago.
Right. So, like, I would visit like Bama, then next week I'd visit Ohio State or do that. I always come out to Columbus just to sort of, see the type of feel. Because my thing, I knew how my mind worked. I'd come off a visit, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the place right here. Then I got to come to Ohio State. And then I'd be like, yeah, I'm not going there. And then I guess that's where it changed to where I would visit. It quickly eliminated schools. Like, no, that school's it's way better. And then I got down to LSU in Georgia, to where I visited Georgia and I visited Ohio State. And I was like, you need to go back to Georgia again. So that's why I was visit Georgia like 3 times, like in a month or something, just because
that was what we called the freak out period for Ohio State fans.
Yeah, because I sort of got the same type of energy, that I felt at Georgia and I did Ohio State, and I built a quick relationship with Coach Smart, just because he was cool. That Southern hospitality vibe, it was cool. He went to Georgia, played football there. Wife was there, played there, so I knew he was going to stay. That was my thing. I wanted to go somewhere where I knew Coach was going to stay. So
what made that a concern?
Georgia?
I'm just kidding. I mean, I know because you were.
Yeah. So
what did Ryan Day? How did he not convince you? Because I don't think that his job was to convince you to come to Ohio State. His job was to let you see what Ohio State was going to be like with him as the coach, right? So what did he do on those subsequent visits? What was his response? How did he show you and your mom and your sister and your family, we understand, go ahead and visit elsewhere, but this is where you need to be? And how did they make that case to you?
Now that I think about it, I remember each time I would come back and he would always talk as if I was already reaffirming coming to Ohio State, and it was complete confidence. It wasn't hesitation. It didn't feel awkward. It was like, yeah, Paris, when you get here, I can't wait for you to do this. We got all this stuff set up for you guys, for the players, as if I've not taken any other visit. It was like, Paris, can't wait to get you up here. We're going to do this. We can meet. I'll teach you this, all that stuff. So it was sort of, I talked to Coach Stud, like, Paris, this is your school. This is your thing. This is where it was more of talking as if I was already reaffirmed, to the point of, I tried to keep it kind of open, I'm still considering LSU, I'm still considering Georgia. Mm-hmm. But eventually the conversation I would have was, oh yeah, I can't wait to get here. It was just I can't wait to get here. Because eventually that's what they were talking. I'd be like, yeah. So it was sort of that thing. Now the same thing, made LSU get number 2 is because that's how they were talking. That Paris, when you get here, because when they were talking, that sort of foreshadowing confidence is different than more schools. Oh, we need you here. We need you here. It's like they were talking as if I was already going to go there.
Because you got very close with Ed Orgeron, correct, in a very short amount of time. And he's a different type of dude, right? I mean, he's a high energy, very, I don't want to say lovable. He's a guy that shows you a lot of love and
right.
Isn't afraid to express that to guys that he's recruiting. He's not holding you off at arm's length during a recruitment.
Right.
When it came down to Ohio State and LSU, because I know Georgia somewhere in the middle of these trips faded away as they started to fill up on their offensive line. They started to I don't know if they thought they needed to go in another direction because they were.
Because honestly, it wasn't even that. Because I talked to coaches, they were not concerned. They were like, I don't care who we get offensive line. If you want to come, one of them's gone.
Yeah.
So
what made it LSU? What was the final deciding point, I guess?
Well, the one thing that sort of took Georgia out, nothing against the staff. They have a great staff. It was nothing against the school program. I just couldn't see myself in Athens. I couldn't see myself there for 3-4 years. Couldn't see myself there. But I could see myself in Baton Rouge. You have New Orleans only an hour or something away. The culture down there is great. The food down there is great. I like the uniforms, colors. Death Valley at night, I feel like that's special in itself. So I felt like those were things that I loved about it. Cause I could imagine myself coming to Coach Orgeron, and being in Louisiana, being a Tiger, that's they're as crazy about LSU as Ohio State fans are about crazy as Ohio State. Mm-hmm. So I felt that same type of energy. I guess the only thing was for me, it was like nothing against them. I guess they were the hardest decision,
Right.
like between them. But I guess for me, it was like, I do my thing at Ohio State. It really just, if I do my thing at LSU and Ohio State, say I played the same, like if I would have took either route, it's gonna mean more at Ohio State just because I'm an in-state person. Versus I feel like if I do my thing at LSU, say I'm an All-American LSU, I'm a first-round pick, all that stuff, that's great. And then say I come back down to Baton Rouge and I walk around, they might not be like, I'm a left tackle, I'm on a quarterback. Oh yeah, that's Paris Johnson. Well, versus Ohio State fans, they're so crazy about football. They remember left tackles, they remember centers. At least from my experience, they remember all that. Whether you're in-state or out-of-state. Whereas I feel like if you're an in-state person, like you're automatic remember. You're in-state. They know you from high school. Nobody there has seen me play high school. Besides, if they're in recruiting and they want to look up my huddle, they just don't look at my huddle randomly down there.
I used to tell you last year during your junior year of high school, seeing you at Ohio State every week, that you were the mayor of Columbus.
Right.
I mean, you're the type of guy when you'd walk out onto the field through the tunnel, everyone in the crowd already knows who you are.
Right.
And I think that has to be different, right?
Yeah, it's different versus I felt like, and I learned that, I kind of felt that at Georgia a little bit. I was down there and a player, so people, oh wait, like who are you? Are you a football player? I'm like, yeah, and I was like, I'm Paris. And they're like, oh, I've heard of you. It was different first. I'm in Columbus, and they're like, they asked me, are you Paris? Or I'll ask them who they are, and then I'll shake their hand, and I'll be like, I'm Paris. I already know you. Like, it's different, versus you actually have to introduce yourself. It's like I'm starting over again. Versus I stay in Ohio, I'm just building on top of, how people already know me. I'm just building on that.
Let's go to that conversation, the final one with Ryan Day, with Greg Studrawa. One where it's no longer them saying, we can't wait till you're here. When you actually said, guys, it's over, this is what I'm doing. Was there that conversation? And if there was, how did that go and how did they react? Honestly,
I don't think there was really that kind of conversation. I think it was just because they always talked as if there was never doubt when they talked like, I'm not going to go down there. Even I talked to Coach Stud about LSU since he was a coach, and he used to talk about how much he loved the experience. There was no type of negative type of talk. So basically,
that's kind of, did that weird you out? Like you're talking to
that's the type of conversation. I like for them to talk about how much he liked it versus, oh no, I don't like, because when you're saying that, it makes me feel like probably would make me like LSU more, because I'm like, I know it's just fake talking. How do you tell me you didn't like all those years?
Right.
You're a coordinator. You won a national championship. Talk about he loved those years. I was talking about he told me all about the LSU traditions and stuff, and on game days and how that was great. They talked about the Ohio State tradition, how it's different. That's just the SEC. It's just different vibe in the SEC.
Well, he's that guy. He's an Ohio guy, so he knows the difference, I think,
right,
between what it means to be back home and doing it in Columbus. So
right.
I mean, I think that
both angles made it interesting. I guess the thing is, the coaches knew I was coming to Ohio State was more the players that wanted to hear, like, G. Scott, like, on my official, he's like, Paris. He's like, I'm like, man, I need you to shout your Instagram. He's like, I'm not shouting you out until you tell me you're done taking this. The coaches knew at that point. I guess they just naturally knew.
You got some blowback from guys on Twitter with some of the tweets.
It was mainly other commits.
Right. Was that what they were saying privately as well, or was it?
Oh, it was the same exact conversation. I would get random FaceTime calls from G late at night because it was not late for him. He'll just call me. He'd be like, Paris, are you done yet? Are you done? I'm like, yeah, I've been done. He's like, I don't believe you. Just end the call. I don't know. He's like, I'm going to call you tomorrow. I need the final answer. Like, that's his type of call.
So when did you know? We talked at an Ohio State one-day camp in June, and you were pretty much done at that time.
Yeah.
That was 2 weeks before your official visit. So that was the week after the LSU visit, the LSU official. So you came back from that official visit and had already kind of made up your mind that you were staying at Ohio State. Why did it take all those trips to get it to underline the decision?
Honestly, it wasn't underlined until literally my birthday, last day at the opening, when I did all those interviews on the field. So I was just talking, and that's when I said I was like done. Because I know you guys already knew. I told you guys, but then I said I was done. And then I said, I was like, I'm gonna call you tomorrow. I need the final answer. Like, that's his type of call. So when did you know?
That was 2 weeks before your official visit.
I knew that it was over. I knew that it was over. But then But
then you put it out to the world.
Yeah, I think I was interviewing with Mr. Wasserman. Made an article like that, like, and then
Kind of put you on the spot.
Yeah, and then so I got a text from my mom. She was like, "You got to call Coach Ogeron, telling me I'm not coming to LSU." So I'm like, "Ooh, you haven't had a conversation yet." So because I thought everybody figured it out from Twitter, because Darian already committed at that point. I thought everybody figured, it's probably going there, but no, they didn't yet. So, so I guess that was when it was underlined, because then they asked me those questions, and then I sort of just started talking to the point I was like,
I feel like you got a lot of stuff you want to get off your chest, to be honest. I mean,
because I wasn't competing because my hamstring. I wasn't competing, so I was just sitting there. So he asked me a question, I was like, shoot, I might as well talk about doing anything else but watching them do one-on-ones, wishing I could be out there.
Let's wrap this up. I can talk to you for the rest of the day here, but I want to wrap this up. And get, what did you learn from this process? And like the next dude that comes through Princeton, right? The next big guy that comes through Cincinnati that looks up to Paris Johnson and says, help me with this process. What did you learn that you were going to be able to pay forward to someone else to make sure that they get to experience this as you did?
I would definitely say that, well, for me, I had a different process than a lot of other people as far as like my training and everything. Like I was blessed opportunity to work with Anthony Munoz, who were really interesting. I don't know if I'd be there if it wasn't for them. For Coach T as my strength coach, I was being working with Coach Gill. I've had different resources for me that are different, and then most people coming through. But I guess the biggest thing is definitely keep focusing on, like, as an offensive lineman, it's definitely about aggressiveness, dominating, finishing your blocks, because at the college level, you're definitely going to they're going to teach you all techniques and special things. The technique is going to separate you, but, but getting those offers and getting those looks is all about, like, how aggressive you are. Do you finish your blocks, play through the whistle and stuff like that. So I think that's the biggest thing.
What are you doing now to finish? Speaking of finishing this recruiting class, you guys took a blow at the end of July when you thought you had a pair of running backs in the class that ended up not being in the class. How are guys like you and Julian, Legend, the leaders of the class, both vocally and I guess in the rankings, because that stuff matters, how are you guys attacking these next few months as you head into signing day?
Well, for me, I honestly don't know who they're going after. For me, I'm just cool with a lot of people that I met at the opening, so it's more like I talk to them like, man, it'd be cool if you were Buckeye. I'm more chill. At first, I was a lot more vocal on, yeah, boom, boom.
But like, it's hard to do when you're visiting other schools, right?
Yeah, now, yeah. So now it's like my only goal was Darian. That was my guy. Once I figured I was going to be here, so just get Darian to commit. And then at that point, for me,
see who shows up on campus and see what you can do.
I guess my only thing was Ohio State, they only really told me to talk to people who were like they're most critical. And Darren was one of those critical people, but John was one of those critical people. I built a good relationship with John. He chose to stay with Texas, and I still talk with him. We're still cool, even though he went with Texas. That's kind of where I recruit. Like, I guess it's different. I don't want to say recruit, but just build that kind of connection with people.
Understood. Well, again, I could talk to you all day, but we're going to let you get out of here. I know you got a lot of other stuff to do. So for Birminology on Lettermen Row, this is Paris Johnson, Ohio State's 5-star tackle commit. I am Jeremy Birmingham. Thanks so much for watching today. Appreciate you being with us.